Hello, it's Salimik. In today's video, we're gonna be making 3D printed fuel injector holders so we can test 3 different fuel injectors for the same car, of course, and see which one sprays more and how will be the spraying pattern before and after 100,000 kilometers of driving. So the first thing we're gonna need 3D printing some kind of cover that can be inserted on a transparent tube like this to hold the fuel injector and the fuel rod all together. Some of you asked me about my 3D printing process, so here's I'm going to explain the steps. So for designing any part, I use SketchUp software for modeling my 3D printed object. And then I'm going to bring it to slicing software. Here you can slice the file. In another meaning, you tell the 3D printer how thick you want the walls to be and setting all the temperatures depending on the material that you're using on the 3D printing right now. Next, we're going to put the G-code file in the SD card and insert it on the 3D printer and then choose the file on the screen. It will take a while to heat up the printer and then start 3D printing. This printer from Creality Ender 3. The build volume on this is 220 by 220 by 250 mm. And here I have CR10 Max from Creality as well. The build volume on this 450 by 450 by 470 mm. This printer capable to print building like this in 14 days. I also have a resin 3D printer as well, which I showed in my previous video how I custom designed paddle shifter for my Toyota Camry. So each one of these took 2 hours and 14 minutes for printing. Next I had to use Silhouette Cameo 4 color machine for the stickers, so it will be easy for reading which fuel injectors injects more. Alright, everything's ready, now we can assemble it all. By the way, you don't need all these machines like I have here. I'm just doing that to show you how the fuel injector will be before and after 100,000 kilometers, so we can clean it or replace it with the new ones. Here I have 3 different fuel injectors, all wired up in parallel with a push switch and 12-volt battery. I'm gonna be using seafoam and fill up C100 kit canister. It will be like a fuel tank here. And then I will connect the shop air here and pressurize the system. It will work like a fuel pump here. Alright, let's open the lower canister valve and power the injectors to bleed the fuel rail and the injectors, so we will have accurate reading measuring injectors fuel consumption. Alright, the system air free. Now we're gonna put it on a 3D printed stand so we can measure the fuel consumption. So the canister is pressurized. It will push the seafoam to the fuel rail and then we can see which one fills more and which one fills less. And from this side I will push the switch to power up the fuel injectors. I will stop when I see a big difference in fuel consumption. All 3 fuel injectors being cleaned before testing and air free as I showed in the beginning of the test. So we have a big difference in fuel consumption. Maybe you'll say this one is clogged. This fuel injector is few months old and it's the original part, which has less fuel consumption. This one is original part as well, but it's been on the engine for 100,000 plus kilometers. So over time it will make the engine consume more fuel than it was before. This one is a new fuel injector but aftermarket and copy of the original part, and it has the same part number. Turned out it has more fuel consumption than the 100,000 kilometer one and the new one. Let's take the fuel injectors out so we have a better idea how the spraying pattern looks like from the new original one, used one and the aftermarket one. The 2 original one looks to be the same, but the aftermarket spraying pattern much bigger than the other 2. So what is the conclusion of this video? You can clean fuel injectors, but it has to be till 100,000 kilometers. After 100,000 kilometers, don't clean them, replace them with the new original ones only. If you buy cheap aftermarket ones, your car will consume more fuel than it was before. Hope you guys have a good idea on fuel consumption on the new original fuel injectors and the aftermarket cheap injectors, how much it was spraying more fuel. So that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.